Picture a quiet afternoon in North Yorkshire, England. The year is 1963. Reverend Kenneth F. Lord stood inside his church, camera in hand, capturing what he thought was a simple photograph of the altar. But when the film was developed, it revealed something no one expected. A towering, translucent figure draped in robes, its face hidden beneath a white shroud. Some said it looked like a 16th century monk. Others said it looked like someone who wandered in from a costume party. Either way, the image, now famously known as the Newby monk, sparked a firestorm of debate. Was it a ghost, a clever trick of light, or something else entirely? You decide in this spooky edition of the Parsonage Files.
Welcome to the Parsonage Files. Meet Dale, a retired church custodian with a voice made for storytelling. He brings us wild and curious tales from the Bible, church history, and everyday life. Then, brothers Rick and Rob Burke jump in to unpack each story. Around here, we prove one thing: faith is anything but boring.
Hey guys, what would you say if I told you there's a photograph that might show a real ghost? Not a smudge, not a glare, an actual hooded figure standing by a church altar. All right, settle in, because this one has some history in it, and the history makes it creepier. Long before phones and filters, people tried to catch spirits on film. In the mid-1800s, right in the middle of the spiritualist movement, photographers sold spirit portraits to grieving families. Taking advantage of folks. Some things never change. The most famous was William H. Mumler, who worked mostly in Boston and New York. He made thousands of spirit photos. He even made an image that looked like Abraham Lincoln standing behind Mary Todd Lincoln. Some folks believed it with their whole hearts. Others cried foul. Investigators learned that a lot of these wonders came from double exposures. Two images ending up on the same plate, so a face from an earlier shot reappears beside the sitter. Slow shutters blurred people, reflections bounced light in strange ways. Breath in cold air looked like mist, and dark rooms made clever tricks easy. Even after Mumler went to court over his shenanigans in 1869, the idea stuck. People still wanted a camera to show what our eyes could not. That hunger kept growing. Spirit photos have remained popular, and over the years, some of those photos have made folks wonder. In 1936, two photographers from Country Life magazine shot the grand staircase at Rainham Hall in the UK and found a pale form drifting down the steps, the Brown Lady, often linked to Lady Dorothy Walpole. Believers saw proof. Skeptics saw blur and lighting. In 1959, after visiting her mother's grave, Mabel Chinnery snapped a quick photo of her husband sitting in the car. When the film came back, a face that looked like her late mother seemed to be sitting in the back seat. People argued over that one, too. It seems with ghost photos, they always do. Now, follow me north to Yorkshire, northern England. Quiet lanes, tall hedges, and the Newby Hall estate. There, a small stone church seems to hold its breath. The Church of Christ the Consoler. It's a Victorian Gothic revival beauty in an early English style, designed by the architect William Burgess. Outside, gray stone. Inside, rich carving and bright stone that glows when the light hits it. The building is Grade 1 listed, and today the church's Conservation Trust keeps watch over it. This is just fancy words for the church is considered a national treasure. This amazing little church has a story. It seems that it was born from grief. In 1870, a young man named Frederick Viner was traveling near Athens when he was taken by brigands, bandits to us less civilized folks. A ransom was raised, hope swelled, and then everything went wrong. Soldiers moved in, the kidnappers panicked, and Frederick was killed. The story shook Britain. Even the Queen followed it. Frederick's mother and sister poured the ransom money into two memorial churches, this one at Newby and St. Mary's at Studley Royal, turning sorrow into places of light and prayer. Fast forward to 1963. Reverend Kenneth F. Lord stands at the altar of Christ the Consoler with a camera. He raises it, takes a single shot, and goes on with his day. Nothing strange, nothing dramatic. But when the film is developed, the ordinary becomes the extraordinary. There, beside the altar, stands a tall figure in robes. The face is covered by a white veil. The outline looks soft, like breath on glass. Some say it's a monk. Others say it's a mask. Some say it's nothing more than a camera trick. But the image makes the air feel colder just the same. People whisper that the figure is 8 or 9 feet tall, but there is no way to tell for sure. Maybe it is just a person standing on a box or a step. Maybe the angle of the photo stretched the height. Skeptics point to double exposure again, 2 moments fused into one, so a phantom is born out of overlap. Believers point to the church setting, the calm posture, the veil over the face, and argue that this was no accident. Ghost hunters still debate it. A few even call it probably fake. The argument paces up and down that nave like a late-night usher with a jangling key ring. So what really haunts this holy place? Visitors talk about soft steps in an empty aisle, whispers near the choir stalls, a chant that stops the second you turn your head. Some say they feel sudden cold spots. Others notice small things out of place. People bring recorders for EVPs, those crackling bits of audio that seem to hold words until you listen again, and they melt back into noise. There are, of course, natural answers for a lot of this. Drafts sneaking through stone, owls up in the timbers, old pipes clanking awake, and echoes that turn a footfall into a whisper. Our brains love patterns, too. It doesn't take much shadow to make us see a face that isn't there. Yorkshire has no shortage of ghost stories. White ladies at ruined walls, a black monk in another town. But the Newby tale is different. It rests in a single frame of film that refuses to fade from memory. Maybe that's why it works on people. It doesn't shout. It just waits. I've locked enough churches at midnight to know how old stone speaks. Buildings like this pop and sigh. They remember. Walk them alone with the lights off, and you will hear every story they've ever told settling into the pews. When I look at that 1963 photograph, I don't just see a hood and a veil. I feel the weight of the history around it, the love that built the church, the sorrow that funded it, and the long, quiet years that followed. If you ask me what stands next to the altar in that photo, I'll ask you what you bring to the doorway. Hope, fear, skepticism, grief. Often what we will find is that the ghost we bring is the ghost we see. Sometimes the point of a mystery isn't to solve it. It's to stand in it for a moment and notice what it stirs in you. That's the story of the Newby Spectre as I've come to know it. A church built to console. A camera's one strange frame and a question that won't die. All right, I've said my piece. Rick, Rob, what do you make of that photograph?
Thanks, Dale.
I never heard that story before.
That's a new one to me.
I do like a good ghost picture, though.
I do too. I love those old-timey ghost pictures.
I mean, I think of the pictures, I think more of like the surgeon's photo of Nessie.
Yep.
Which is that super famous, for those of you who don't know, that super famous black and white picture of, it looks like the Loch Ness Monster swimming through the water.
And it turns out to be what?
Don't look too deep into it, because it turned out to be a submarine.
With a dinosaur head glued to the top.
Glued to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't,
Sort of like, what were those when we were in high school? Gulf Breeze. Those UFO photos, remember? And like MUFON even like said, oh, these are real. These are the greatest thing. And they were like Polaroids, and turned out the guy.
What was that dude's name?
Oh gosh, what's his name?
The real estate developer.
Yeah, he was like a real estate developer. Yeah. Then it turns out he was kind of shady. And then he sold the house, and they found the model.
They found the models in the...
Yeah. So, I love photos of weird paranormal kinds of things, but a lot of times they don't hold up to scrutiny. And
well, you have to ask yourself, right? What are the odds it's real? I mean, have you ever seen anything so bizarre yourself that you can't...
I heard somebody talk about this recently. And that it was in regards to Bigfoot. Okay. So it wasn't ghost or anything like that. But what they said is, if the photo looks too good, people say that it's fake. If the photo is blurry, then they say it's fake because it's blurry.
You can't win no matter what.
You can't win no matter what. And I would say that today, with AI and all that, any sort of photo is not going to be believed. An alien could be standing at your door asking for a cup of sugar. And if you got that on your iPhone, people aren't going to believe it. So I try to keep an open mind on these things.
And the further back you go, you start thinking, with technology not being as sophisticated, how easy was it to hoax?
So I guess a couple of questions I have about this is, one, why in the world was he taking a picture of an altar? Okay, because as a pastor...
And that is the first question that comes to your mind. Why would you?
Do I take a picture of our altar, or as we call it at our church, communion table? Do I take a picture of the communion table? And the answer is, yeah. I don't do it every day, but a relatively often thing. But there's a reason. I'm doing it for social media, or I'm doing it for the website, or I'm doing it for a cover of a bulletin for Easter, or what have you. So was there a reason? Did he ever say why he was taking the photo?
Yeah. Looking through the notes, I don't see that it ever lists why he was doing it.
So we just have to believe he was just doing it to do it.
For a normal pastoral reason.
It could be. I mean, I have literally had to take pictures of churches for the trustees for insurance.
But I'm looking at the picture of it now, and have you seen this picture before?
Just this last couple of days when you sent it to me.
So it's basically, it looks like the ghost from Scream.
The Scream movies, yeah.
Scream movies.
But 30 years before the Scream movies came out.
And so could it be a monk? Maybe. To me, it looks like a guy, with a cloth over his face, double exposed.
If you just look at this from, and I'm not saying like a debunker, skeptical point of view. I'm saying just as a reasonable person. If you look at this picture, a reasonable person will look at this and say, that is somebody wearing a costume.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. But, and like a lot of these things that are in the paranormal sphere, you initially go, it's not true. Come on, common sense. And then the more you start to look at it, the more you're like,
but what happens? Well, what happens if a specter looks like somebody wearing a costume?
Yeah, I have no idea what one should look like.
So what did Reverend Lord say, right?
He claimed he had nothing to do with it, that he was as surprised as anybody else.
Okay.
And never recanted that.
Did he make any money off it that we know of?
Not that we know of.
Did the church make any money off of it?
Not that I can find.
Because, as a pastor of a local church, finances are always an issue. I know that. So maybe if you need a new boiler, a ghost shows up.
Right. But is that just the naysayer in all of us who wants to...
No, it could be. Just my skeptical side coming out. So if he didn't make any money, if the pastor didn't make any money, and the church didn't make any money, and...
What would be the point?
What would be the point? Because I can't imagine, I'm not Anglican, but in the Methodist world, taking a picture and making it well known that this picture has some sort of phantom in it in your church.
Not a career enhancer.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that it would help your career. I don't know that it would hurt it necessarily, but
Right.
it's certainly not going to be something I would do to impress somebody.
So then that leads you down the path of he's not making it up.
Well, what would be the point? Because what are your superiors going to say? That they're not going to be, oh, look at you. You're taking ghost pictures on your spare
Right.
time at church.
If you look at the area that the church is located in, kind of go back and look at the history of the church, the area it's located in.
Yeah.
It has a lot of strange paranormal stories associated with it.
So
the region.
So the church, if I understand, is one of two churches in that area that was built out of a tragedy in the 1800s, right?
Yes.
Because that's what I think Dale alluded to a little bit.
It was constructed under some relatively sad circumstances.
Yeah, a young man, he was from a aristocratic family, was traveling through the country of Greece, and they were going between two towns, and they ran into a term that I haven't heard outside of Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Brigands. You are a brigand. And so this group of outlaws kidnap this group of young, rich Europeans and hold them for ransom. And apparently, if I read stuff right, that was not uncommon. And so the families would collect money and then pay it to these criminals who would then release the prisoners. Well, things went south, and before the families could deliver the money, the criminals, and I don't remember the exact reasoning behind it, if they were attacked by the government troops or something along those lines, and they just killed the prisoners.
And that would have been what, April of 1870?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there?
Yeah. Oh, it was out of the money that the families had collected for their ransom. They wanted it to go to something good. The one young man, his family had some land, and so they donated the land for two churches, and the money that was raised by all the families for this ransom went to building these churches. And one of them was the Church
Church of the Consoler.
of the Consoler.
Located on the river called Skelton on Yore.
Oh, very good.
That's not how I would have pronounced it originally.
But I got to tell you, Google helps.
Google machine works great. So it wasn't like it was known as a haunted place. There was no reason for it to have been paranormal. But again, the area that it was built in did have a history of paranormal activity. Also had a history of being one of England's oldest and most storied areas. The region also played a key role in a number of wars, including the War of the Roses and the Battle of Taunton in 1461, the bloodiest battle of the English Civil War and one of the bloodiest ever for the British Army was fought there.
So if we're going with the idea that ghosts are leftover spirits, there would be reasons why there would be restless spirits
energy,
there.
yeah.
I guess
and a river. There is a river there.
There is a river, and
is a
so
wa-
some people say it's moving water. I guess a couple of questions that I have. One, did anybody investigate this picture to check for like double exposures, that kind of thing?
They have.
And what did they find?
It's always been inconclusive.
Okay.
It's always you know how
Inconclusive does not mean not fake.
No, but there
Right.
was the recent advent of AI.
Yeah.
They have done a couple of analysis.
Oh, okay.
And probability, at least according to the AI analysis, would be that it's 79% a hoax.
Okay. So people have done an investigation. Number two, and we've already discussed this a little bit, there is no motive for the pastor who took the picture to hoax this that we know of.
That we know of.
Obviously, there could be some sort of motive that isn't well known.
I mean, even as much as just a prank.
Boredom is not
right. I mean, it's always a chance.
Yeah.
But it would seem that, and this could just be the layperson. I'm not a pastor.
Yeah.
But the esteem pastors are held in, you would not want to do anything to degrade that.
Okay, so as a pastor, I would not want to do anything that is going to put my reputation into doubt because people are looking to me for guidance, right? So I wouldn't want anybody to think, oh, this guy can't be trusted. So I totally agree with that. But on the other hand, you have this photo. So how about, could this be a hoax being played on the pastor by a third party?
But again, you have to ask to what end. What are you hoping to? I mean,
Were you hoping me to embarrass him?
but then wouldn't you have said, "Hey, it's a hoax"? Because if not, you don't embarrass them.
So did Reverend Lord, did he believe that this was a real ghost, or did he just?
He claims it was.
So did he say he saw anything?
No, saw nothing until the picture was developed. Then you have the hooded figure. It's like 8 or 9 feet tall, white shroud, semi-transparent. Strangely looks like what you would expect a ghost picture to look like.
It definitely looks like a ghost
And
picture,
when I see these kind of pictures, it kind of makes me think about the spiritualist movement,
which was popular at the time.
right, and the photos that you would take with the spiritualists, the ghost photos.
Yeah, because those were super popular. And now were they were popular in Great Britain as well as the United States.
They
correct?
were, from my understanding, the ghost photos during the spiritualist movement of the 19th century kind of took off when a dude named William Mumler, not a great name, who was an engraver turned photographer. He became famous as a photographer / medium by taking a picture of Mary Todd Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln's wife, and he rose to popularity. And as one does, he could charge a pretty penny to take pictures of your deceased loved ones with you. I would call it a grift. The police called him a grifter, and in 1869 he was charged of taking advantage of mourning families.
Oh, that's always wonderful.
Right. And so he decided to change professions and just become a regular photographer after that. But once that cat was out of the
I
bag,
thought you were going to say he changed professions just to become a regular grifter.
regular grifter. Now
Just taking advantage of everybody.
He's
Okay.
already a regular grifter. Mumler kind of dropped off the face of the earth. Mumler moved away, but the cat's already been out of the bag. So, so the spiritualist movement, ghost photos, all these things are in the zeitgeist as this photo was taken. I'm gonna have to lean towards it's not true. There have been a number that it's a hoax.
Okay.
It's a true picture, obviously,
Right.
but it's a hoax. Skeptics, there's a number of theories out there of how it could be done. The most popular and one I would go with would be it's a costumed accomplice. The picture really does look like someone in a robe with a shroud over their face. Some people say if you look close enough, you can see someone wearing glasses. So what are the odds that a ghost needs glasses?
I mean, a ghost could wear glasses, but
Right, and it's just double exposure.
I mean, I guess eye doctors have to do something in the
Right.
afterlife. But
And so the picture's created with double exposure, and it's corresponds with other known hoaxes. Doesn't make it a hoax, but it doesn't make it not. And others have said that that to create it would have been easy to do using something called Pepper's ghost illusion. And my experience with that, the most common is if you ever have gone to Disney World or Disneyland and you ride the Haunted Mansion,
yes,
the ghosts that they're dancing around the ballroom, you've seen the Pepper's ghost. And it looks kind of cool. And you take a picture of that, then
so it works by having a sheet of glass at an angle, right?
yes, and it reflecting that up with light.
So like the ghosts are
Down and below.
or below you, being projected onto a angled piece of glass.
Correct. So it might have been that complicated, or might just have been some dude standing in a costume. The fact that it can be reproduced doesn't necessarily make it fake.
No,
But you can't say it's not.
it's sort
Because
of
I
like
know a lot of times, like if you hear in other paranormal things, like the professional UFO debunkers get out there, like, well, we could create this if we did blah, A, B, and C. Well, yeah, but you didn't. Or what are the odds that someone had, fill in the blank of some
right, just because it could be reproduced
Doesn't
in
mean that
a human-made way doesn't mean that it was.
correct.
Yeah, sort of like what was the show that was on a few years ago? Fact or Faked Paranormal Files.
Oh, I remember that show.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
What was that? Sci-fi, I think.
Yeah.
And they would try to decide if something was real, a video was real or not, by if they could reproduce it, and they acted like that was scientific. Well, it's not. Just because
It's just reproducible.
It's just reproducible. Well, a lot of things are reproducible. It doesn't mean that it's fake necessarily, but it does.
It brings up questions.
It brings up questions.
And it also brings up, and this is where going back to common sense. Have you ever seen something like this? What are the odds?
Again, I haven't seen everything.
But we also, in the religious sense, believe that Jesus was raised from the dead, and you don't see that every day.
True. This is true. And people did think that the resurrection of Jesus was made up because, well,
Because you don't see it every
you
day.
can see that every day. So yeah, so I guess you can't just blow something off because you didn't see it. On the other hand,
Can't
you
believe
can't just believe every single thing that comes rolling.
But man, I want to.
Well,
These things are cool. And I just,
um,
you want a little mystery in your life, right? Life is so mundane.
so the problem is at times Christians can fall on either extreme. They can either be so credulous that they believe absolutely everything.
Right.
Or they're incredulous and they don't believe a darn thing. Jesus himself could walk up and tap them on the shoulder and they're not going to believe that what they're seeing is real. This is some sort of hoax somebody's trying to play. And so I think these questions about these paranormal photos in real life, does it really matter? No. Is it probably a hoax? Yeah. But it also raises some interesting theological questions.
Life after death?
Life after death. Do we have to have proof? Faith versus evidence, right? Because the Bible says we must live by faith, not by evidence.
But how do you then reconcile that with not being taken advantage of by every
Well,
grifter out there?
see, that's the problem. Even when it comes to faith, right? Because the more open you are to living by faith, the more open you are to being taken advantage of. And nobody wants to be taken advantage of.
So do you go too hard the other direction, not to believe anything, just to be sure?
Right, because you want to protect yourself. The problem, then you don't believe anything. And I think God's world is much bigger than what we often think it is. But because we don't want to look foolish, we don't pay any attention, and we only want to believe what is here and now. Right? Why have Christians for thousands of years been so interested in relics?
It gives them some type of tangible
Proof of their faith, right?
of their faith.
Right? I can believe that Jesus died on the cross, but if I can own a piece of that cross,
It makes that easier to.
right. Now I'm not living by faith. I can live by evidence. Or here's the holy chalice. Then I don't have to.
You have chosen wisely.
You have.
For those who cannot see that, or have never seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade,
He chose
poorly.
Yeah. So these sort of questions, not that I want to equate some 1960s ghost photo to, our faith, but I think it does bring interesting questions.
And questions that are going to come. Now we're in spooky season, right?
Yeah.
We're moving into these kind of questions are going to come into mind more and more because this is the season we're in. Lots of ghost shows on. And as a normal person that goes to church every week, you think about this. You're like, do I believe in these ghosts? No. Well, then why do I believe in the Holy Ghost? That seems, equally as weird, but one I believe in, one I don't. And you have these arguments with yourself when you're watching the Travel Channel.
Correct. You do.
And you always feel weird about asking about it at church because you don't want to be that guy, right?
I got to tell you, people ask me these questions.
But people have the questions.
Oh, yeah. Everybody does, right? So as we get closer into the spooky season, sometimes I like to do a sermon. I think was it last year, maybe 2 years ago, I did a sermon series on spooky questions. And I did like one on ghosts, which is really just a sermon on the resurrection and afterlife. I did one on aliens, which is really about creation and God creating everything. I did one on, I think, Bigfoot. Maybe it was Bigfoot. I don't remember.
Some paranormal.
It was some paranormal.
Some
thing.
cryptid.
It was a cryptid of some sort. Yeah. I'm sure somebody out there who was there will remember, although on average, people forget what you say in a sermon.
About 30 seconds after the.
By 3:00 in the afternoon, it's something like half the people couldn't tell you what you preached on.
That makes you feel good after weeks and weeks of work.
Makes you feel good, but that's just how the human mind works.
These are questions that, as humans, we have. There's a reason networks on television have built an entire network. There's a reason they've built networks on television based on ghosts.
There's a reason that the Travel Channel is all ghost all the time.
Great. It's not because people aren't tuning in.
No. Now, part of that, I think, has to do with changing spirituality in America. I don't think people are any less spiritual than they used to be. They just don't like organized religion, at least millennials.
But they're still searching
Gen Z
for the same answers.
But they're still searching for the same answers. And if you think about a good ghost story, it answers very similar questions as to church on Sunday. What's going to happen to me when I die? Well, what is the meaning of my life?
Right.
Am I ever going to see my Aunt Lucy again, who passed away? Is there a power greater than myself?
all things that you would answer in
All-
church.
All questions that
Yep.
used to be answered in church that are now answered on the History Channel or the Discovery Channel at 3 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. So final thoughts about this ghost photo. From what I've seen of it, I'm going to have to lean towards it being a hoax of some sort. Now, who did the hoax? I don't know. If it was a prank, it would be really difficult to take a photo that somebody else took and then early 1960s to insert a ghost into. I mean, today it's pretty darn easy, but back then that would be a feat.
Would it though?
Well,
I'm going to lean towards it's not that difficult to not clean up a plate when you're developing film.
so do you think it was a hoax played on the
Oh, I
Reverend?
think it was a hoax. I don't know the reason why they did it, but it's a hoax.
Played on the Reverend or by the Reverend?
By the Reverend.
By the Reverend.
I mean, it looks like a dude. It's not even a good one. I mean, some of these other ones are more clever. This looks like
So do they offer ghost
tours.
tours of the church?
I don't know. Do not know that.
Because I hate to be this way, but whenever a place is supposedly has a ghost sighting, and then all of a sudden now they're offering tours and all this, you just wonder.
Right.
Same thing with anything, right? Somebody sees Bigfoot and now you have a Bigfoot festival. And I'm not against people making money, and I think it's fun and all that, but it does make you question the legitimacy of whatever it is that is being reported.
There is not a ghost tour.
Oh, so you looked it up.
Church. I am looking it up right now.
All right.
In the sense of a guided paranormal walking tour, but rather haunted famous church spots are listed on various internet sites, and you can take the Spectres of Newby Church, also known as the Newby Monk, self-guided tour by downloading it.
Interesting.
From the internet. So the church itself is not obviously directly making money off of it, but the fact that I'm talking about the church kind of doesn't hurt. What are the odds that I would be discussing a church in North Yorkshire, England?
Without said picture.
And if you look, it's a haunted area. There are tours, looking at it now, of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different other ghosts that you can take of the region. So it's not like...
So it's a haunted region, or at least a region known for ghost stories.
Right.
Okay.
It is one of them things that makes you go, huh. But it's creepy, and I do love a good creepy photo.
All right. I had something creepy happen to me at my church. This would have been back around Halloween time.
Okay.
And we have these big stained glass windows in the sanctuary. And I was up in the sanctuary. This would have been like mid-afternoon one day. And all of a sudden, I hear what sounds like a little kid screaming. I'm standing in the back facing the communion table.
Right.
And it's like over to the right-hand side. And it sounded like a child was screaming. Like, ah! Scared the bejeebers out of me.
Right.
So I look around. There's no one around. I'm all by myself in the church. And I'm like, okay, well, who knows what it was. Turn around to go down the steps at the back of the sanctuary. I hear it again.
What'd you do?
Well, I'm like, all right, I'm going to be honest. I grabbed my phone. I turned my phone on. Because I'm like, if this happens again, I'm getting it on the phone. And as I'm walking back into the sanctuary,
how many times people don't
it
do that?
happened for a third time. I still be on my phone. And I'm like, what in the world? Walk up. And it's coming from the window. And talking to folks at church, turns out that we have
a weeping window of some sort.
So
when is a stained glass?
It's a stained glass window, and then on the outside.
Don't continue. This is a good story to leave it right here.
I know. We have those storm windows you put on them to protect them. And this was one of those days where we had like 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a real strong wind gust hit that window just at the right time, it slips in between the storm window and the stained glass window and whistles like that. But my church people have called it whistling. It's not whistling. It's a banshee screaming. It's terrifying. And I got to tell you, if I heard that at night, man, I'd be out of that church.
And it is weird how churches should be a place of safety.
It should be a place of safety and
that
protection.
As a child, I was always afraid of seeing a ghost in church.
Oh, I got to tell you, when I was in seminary, I worked at our home church as custodian, and I hated being the last one out of that church and having to lock up because
you weren't sure what you're going to say.
Well, it was all broken up, right? And the alarm system, you'd have to like turn off the lights, and they had like those red security lights, and you'd walk down the steps, open this door where the security panel was, and it was just the red security lights, turn on the system, and then walk down this old hallway with those like metal doors. And as you did, the air pressure when you walk by would press those doors in, and it would sound like somebody was rattling the doors as you walk by. Oh, it was terrifying. Yeah. And you're like, man, I am like 22 years old, 23 years old, man. What am I doing being scared of this? But all right, something else. One of the scariest things I ever had in a church.
Okay.
It was a Catholic church. Actually, it was the Pontifical College up there, 23.
Up there,
yeah,
north of Columbus.
North of Columbus, and I was taking a class there in seminary, and it was at night. And I remember it would have been the fall of 2000 because we watched the election results in there with them.
That's a good time watching.
Yeah.
Watching election results with the
Catholics.
The Catholics.
Yeah. Anyway,
you guys know how to party.
Yeah. So we would go over, eat dinner with the Catholic guys. Then we would go to their chapel service at night, and they would always assign one of the brothers there to be with one of us Methodists, because we had no idea where we were, right? I mean, it was up, down, turn around. I don't know. Yeah. And then we would go to class, right? So I'm sitting in class, and I had to go to the bathroom, and it was dark. And so you came up these steps, all the lights are off, and then you had to walk down this like hallway. I don't know. Like on Harry Potter, where like they like have those long like outdoor corridors with like the windows on the sides, and then statues in each of those windows.
Yep.
Yeah. So picture that. It's dark. It's like October. It's like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. It's totally dark. No lights on, and except from like the moonlight. And there's all of these like statues of like saints. And you're walking down.
That's creepy.
And I'm, and you swear they're all looking at you. And I'm like, this is like a Gothic horror novel. And I'm like, I just need to go to the bathroom, man. And I'm going to see it now. He went to the bathroom and he never came back.
Ba-da-da.
Oh, I've never been so fast. And then I like skadoodled in and skadoodled out. And yeah, I'm like, that's a much more manly religion. That's scary, man.
Right?
We don't have scary statues in the Methodist world.
We don't. Maybe we should. Is that a suggestion?
Oh.
Is there a suggestion box at church we could put that in? Scary Methodist statues?
Yeah, we should.
Well, there's always, not why we're here, but I'm going to share anyway. I've never been in a Methodist church that doesn't have that creepy Jesus staring at you picture. He's like knocking on the door, and his eyes are following you.
Okay, so
and that always hits you at 9 o'clock at night when you're walking out. Like, why is Jesus staring?
So that picture, and then the other one, and I'll put a example up for folks to look at.
If you have this in your living room, I love it.
If I had my phone on me, I would look up the name of it. I'll insert it when I find it. But I thought our church was the only one that had those pictures. Turns out
every church has one.
In the 1940s, at least the one picture is the most reproduced picture of all time, like 40 million copies. It was like given to like every soldier heading off to World War II. And that's why it's everywhere. Because when the soldiers came back from World War II, they liked it, and it was a source of comfort because it got them through bad times. And so that's why every church in the 50s had it. That one, and then have you ever seen the one that's really common from the 50s of Jesus and the two kids on the sailboat, and he's got his hands around them and they're sailing, right? And again, everybody thinks our church is the only one that's got that picture,
but they all
everyone has that. It's
an interesting thought. We have to talk to Dale, see if he can dig up some information or knows anything on this. Is I would love to know, and I don't know this exists, but man, I really want it to exist. Is the church directory pictures that you get?
Yeah.
Are there any that have a ghost in them?
Oh, that's a good question.
There has to be. All those ghosts. How many times how many of those directories have you ever seen in your life? I mean, hundreds, thousands of them, millions. Okay, no, not millions, but lots have been produced. Are there any that's got like ghost pictures or pictures of someone that wasn't there, or a spouse that had passed away with the husband or wife? Inquiring minds have to know.
Yeah.
When you see Dale, can you ask him?
Yeah, I'll see. I was just thinking
that was the stupidest thing you've ever heard come out of the mouth of a human being.
So Have you ever seen the ghost picture? Actually, it's a video that's from Rome that supposedly shows the ghost that's floating over the heads of all the worshipers.
Yeah.
And it turned out, do you know what it turned out to be?
Is that the one that was like a sign or something?
Yeah. So what was it? I forget which cathedral it was. It was one of the, was it St. Peter's maybe?
Yeah, I think you're right. Either that or is it in the Sistine Chapel?
Oh, maybe it was a Sistine. Yeah.
Although I'm not sure you're allowed to take pictures in the Sistine
I
Chapel.
don't know about that. Yeah.
But hey, maybe it was.
You've been there.
I've been there.
Yeah. And what it was a flag on the end of a pole held up by the leader of one of those tourist groups. And it just got caught in the video and it just looked like some sort of spirit. So I think a lot of that happens where people just think there is a spirit going on, but there really isn't.
And it could be what this picture that we're from Newberry is. It could be maybe.
I don't know. It
just
seems
misinterpreted
awful.
something.
I don't know how you'd misinterpret that.
Yeah, that's true.
It's either a hoax or the real thing, and I'm going for a hoax.
And probably not a great hoax either.
Well, so I don't want to cast aspersions upon the good Reverend, but it is definitely,
man, it's a good story.
It is a good story. It really kind of makes me want to have a ghost story,
right?
Or ghost photo,
something.
All right, so I've never had a ghost photo, but I thought I did have a UFO photo once.
Okay, in church?
No, here in the house. My son Owen has a lot of special needs, and we have nurses who come in and help. And one of Owen's nurses, who's going to be with us overnight, she comes in about 8:00 at night, and she is all jazzed up because she said she just saw a UFO and got a video of it.
Was this recently?
No, this would have been probably 6-7 years ago now, if not more. And I was like, well, bring that over here. And so she showed me her phone, and sure enough, there was a photo of, and God bless her, she even got out of her car. She's out in the middle of nowhere down in Pickaway County, and she's standing there, and over her field is this silent light, white light shining down, and these like weird colored strobes, and it's just hovering, no sound.
Over the field in the dark.
Yeah, over the field, like 9:00 at night. And she probably got a couple of minutes of it. And I'm like, what is that? And so I got looking, and turns out it was the Ohio National Guard, because about an hour later, on one of our local TV station Facebook pages, there's an article saying, if you live in northern Pickaway County and saw strange lights, we keep getting reports of that. And we did some checking, and the Ohio National Guard said that was them. And the reason you didn't hear helicopter blades was because sometimes you don't, because of the way the atmosphere is,
and it was just helicopter,
and the way the wind blows. But that was just a helicopter. That was them. And
even seeing a helicopter is kind of cool.
Oh, well, still that's pretty cool, right? But that's the only time I ever thought somebody had a photo of something that was strange.
So yeah, I've never heard of this picture before.
No, me neither.
But I'm glad we took a look at it. It's interesting.
I like it.
I want it to be true. Don't think it is.
Oh, I really want it to be true, but I don't think it is. But I really appreciate Dale bringing that to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I really appreciate Dale bringing that to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I appreciate you for listening. And I'd like to remind you that we are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Groveport United Methodist Church. They're in beautiful Groveport, Ohio. If you are looking for a church home, we would love for you to stop in and visit us, 10:30 a.m. every Sunday morning. So until next time, for Dale and my brother Rob, I'm Rick, and we will see you later on the Parsonage Files.
Thanks, everybody.